and welcome to the NTN Midday Update. My name is Jessie Leonce, and today we're focusing on the observance of World No Tobacco Day. We will have programming for the next hour or so with this in mind. We have World No Tobacco Day, the annual observance of the World Health Organization, being observed today, Monday, the 31st of May, 2021. The theme is Commit to Quit. We are starting with a panel discussion on this theme with panelists Dr. Shana, Cyr-Philbert, and Mrs. Joseph Henry. And just to give you a little background into their positions, we have Dr. Cyr-Philbert, who is the Senior Medical Officer for Non-Communicable Diseases in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, as well as Mrs. Henry, who is the Deputy Coordinator for the World Health Organization FCTC Tobacco Control Focal Point, quite a mouthful, of the Substance Abuse Advisory Council, Secretariat. Good afternoon to you both. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
I want us to start with the observance of World No Tobacco Day. I'm not sure if you want to take it on, Mrs. Henry. Tell us what this observance is all about.
Well, this is a world over. So it's not just us in St. Lucia observing today. This is world over. So it's international observance, which was developed by the World Health Organization a long time ago, since 1987, to mark this occasion and to really encourage persons across the globe to be mindful of tobacco, to reduce tobacco use, to discourage the use of tobacco. So this year, the focus, as you said, is Commit to Quit. And the focus this year is to try to encourage individuals to quit, especially in light of the risk and the issues that arise with smoking and COVID, is a special focus this year.
Okay. Talk to us about, before we get into all of the tentacles of tobacco use and its implications for our health otherwise, talk to us about the direct harm of tobacco use and secondhand exposure.
There is a slogan, and I would like Dr. Cyr to speak about the medical aspect, but I'll start off with this. This is a legal product, but when used as directed, kills half of its users. And it doesn't matter whether the individual is smoking directly or whether it is somebody who is exposed secondhand, meaning that they are in the vicinity of somebody who is smoking. The harms are the same. And it's very, very, very terrible. We have all sorts of illnesses from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, and all your organs in between can be affected. And I will let Dr. Cyr speak more about the actual medical harms, if you don't mind, Jess.
No problem, Dr. Cyr-Philbert.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Henry. I just want to start out by saying that there is no health benefit when it comes to smoking. Like she would have said, smoking kills, and that's the long and the short of it. If the listeners take nothing else out of this, smoking kills, either directly or indirectly, it kills. Smoking affects every organ in the body, especially your respiratory system. So of course you're inhaling smoke. Your body was not made to inhale smoke. And so the whole immune system of your respiratory system is affected. So smokers tend to be more prone to getting respiratory diseases like tuberculosis. They get flus, etc. Diseases like that more often than someone who does not smoke. Also, even the secondhand smoke in children who live with smokers, they tend to get more asthma and more problems. Of course, even when we look outside of the respiratory system, smoking causes all kinds of cancer. And of course, lung cancer is at the top of our list. I think most of us associate smoking with lung cancer, but smoking actually causes other cancers, and doesn't only cause cancers in the smoker. Just by way of info, smoking causes cancer in the passive smoker as well. So The unfortunate thing is that smoking is addictive. So that's another health problem, because once you have an addiction, addictions are hard to break because persons become dependent on that habit that they have developed. And in terms of other diseases, smoking increases your risk of cardiovascular disease. We're talking about diseases that have to do with your heart and your blood vessels. And in terms of heart attacks and stroke, smoking contributes significantly to your risk for heart attacks and strokes. And even diabetes. Recently, a lot of research has been done, and they found out that there's a significant risk of getting diabetes if you're a smoker. So that's something we did not speak about before, but again, there's something new. And like I said, it's smoking. There are no health benefits to smoking. So the safest thing to do is actually quit, which is pretty difficult to do.
Okay. What is St. Lucia's experience with tobacco, our population?
I think I could take this one. We've had, well, St. Lucia no longer produces cigarettes. A lot of the cigarettes coming in, all of the cigarettes coming in, and other tobacco products are imported. But the use of tobacco products continues to be the traditional cigarette. And more so now, which is a big concern for us, is the new products that are being used by our young persons. The electronic cigarettes, the design, the hookahs, the vapors, the vapes, and all of those things are being used more so by the young ones. We find too many persons smoking, and this is why we really want to talk about the new legislation which has come on board, which has been enacted to control the places where people can smoke and to reduce the harms, to reduce the exposure, that passive smoking that individuals, are exposed to by other persons who smoke. In terms of our young people, the big concern right now is to try as much as possible to reduce the exposure, the initiation of our young persons into tobacco use.
Okay. As you mentioned, the legislation, taking a closer look at the smoking control legislation, Public Health Smoking Control Amendment 2019, and the Public Health Smoking Control Regulations for 2020. Talk to us about what this legislation will affect.
Well, as you said, the legislation has been enacted. Well, it's a public health amendment. So the Public Health Act was revised to allow the control of smoking in public places, in workplaces, enclosed places, enclosed public places, as well as outdoor public places. So the purpose of all of that is to reduce the exposure of individuals to tobacco smoke. As we said, I think we've established it, everybody knows by now, it is a really dangerous thing to smoke for oneself, and also to expose other persons to tobacco smoke. And I want to just point out something very important. The legislation defines smoking generally. So we want to ensure that people understand that it's not just the smoking of tobacco that is now restricted in all of those places I just mentioned. It is smoking of any kind of product, including those electronic devices. So now it is no longer accepted that individuals can walk around with even the lit cigarettes in their hands, or any other kind of device that might be ignited, any other purpose. So even if things change with other products that might be legalized or maybe introduced, because the tobacco industry and other industries are continuously changing and coming on board, there cannot be any handling of ignited or heated products or smoking of any substance at all.
Okay. Can you give us some insight on the associated penalties, the feedback, the response in terms of enforcement to date?
Okay, so the penalties are pretty stiffer. On summary conviction, if somebody violates, an individual, you or me, an ordinary person, violates any of those provisions, on summary conviction, the fine is up to $5,000. For an entity, a business entity, it is up to $10,000 on summary conviction. Enforcement and licensing, inspection, all of these agencies have already been trained, have already been exposed, have been informed of the new legislation. We've held training with them, so they are aware.
Nice.
And important to note, the grace period for enforcement of the legislation has already expired. So people had up to December of last year, which is 6 months following the enactment of the legislation, to adapt, make changes, put up their signs, especially in the business places, restaurants, entertainment areas. Also important, this also applies to buses and public transport, especially for the risk of second-hand smoking. You have persons sitting on the seats. We don't want individuals to be exposed and harmed by the tar and other toxins that may be embedded in the buses, taxis, public transports. All of those public transport methods are all protected under the legislation.
Okay, where in the global space, speak to the significance of St. Lucia adopting this legislation.
It is very significant, very, very significant, because St. Lucia is a member of the World Health Organization, a country party of the World Health Organization, and we've signed on to a very important treaty which came out in the early 2000s. We signed on to the WHO FCTC, which is the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, since the year 2005. And so these are obligations that we have agreed, we've recognized as a country that we want to implement. And so it is time that we advance. And this is an event passing the enactment of our legislation and the implementation of the smoke-free spaces is a focus of the World Health Organization. It's a priority. So it is something that has brought a lot of celebration, a lot of applause, it's a very high achievement for us in St. Lucia and as a member of the World Health Organization.
Okay. Dr. Cyr-Philbert, I want to segue on the COVID-19 conversation and the implications of tobacco use.
Okay, so a while ago I made reference to tobacco smoking affecting the immune system of the respiratory system. The general immune system, but also specific to the immune system of the respiratory system. COVID-19 is a respiratory disease. What they've found in the research, in the newer research they've done, is that persons who smoke are more likely to get COVID, and sadly, not only more likely to get COVID, but then they do not do very well when they get COVID. So they develop more severe disease. And one of the things they've looked at is that being more likely to get the disease can be from the standpoint that they have weaker immune systems. And so they pick up, the disease faster. But also, if you smoke cigarettes, the cigarette is in your hand, you pick up something else, your hand that's contaminated goes next to your mouth, etc. The cigarette itself may bring the disease into your mouth, etc. But the other thing about smoking and COVID-19 is that smokers tend to have other diseases, particularly non-communicable diseases like cardiovascular disease, hypertension, etc.
And you made the connection with diabetes.
Yes, diabetes. They generally, the immune systems are insulted, but they also have diseases which are doing damage as well. And what we found is persons with non-communicable diseases like hypertension, diabetes, cancer, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is a significant result of smoking, those persons tend to have more severe disease and they don't do well when they've gotten COVID. Actually, let's bring it home to St. Lucia. Most of our deaths so far from COVID have occurred in persons with chronic non-communicable diseases, okay, underlying diseases. So when we're looking at celebrating World No Tobacco Day and saying commit to quit, using commit to quit as a theme, this COVID-19 time is a really important time to quit, because as a smoker, you're at a disadvantage when it comes to COVID-19 and how you fare with the disease.
Okay. I also want to touch on, just briefly, we're running out of time, but the aspect of the other complications that you might have from tobacco use, respiratory illness like NCOPD and so on. If you could just touch on it quickly.
You want to know specifically, if you're a smoker, what respiratory diseases you tend to have? To
be prone to.
Okay. So, like I said earlier, persons who smokers, they tend to, because they have a weakened immune system, they tend to get flu-like illnesses, etc., a lot easier. They tend to get diseases like tuberculosis. They would get that. Chronic bronchitis, which is actually under the term chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, that is pretty common in smokers. Of course, lung cancer, they get a lot of issues with their throat because, of course, you're inhaling smoke that's constantly affecting your throat. So they get all kinds of oral cancers, of the, not necessarily only the lung, but they get all kinds of cancers, gastrointestinal cancers, you name it, they get that. And like I said a while ago, we have the risk factors. Smoking is a significant risk factor for things like heart attacks and strokes, and I want us to make sure that we remember that.
Stress that.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So the interventions continue, Mrs. Henry, against tobacco here in St. Lucia. Talk to us about the New Tobacco Cessation Project.
Yeah, this is a very exciting one that we are happy about, because what we expect will happen is, as the pressure begins to build and persons begin to get more and more restricted from the places that they would normally be able to smoke, we expect that people will be motivated, and hopefully the information that we provide today about all the dangers, not just for themselves but for family members, their children, and people that they love, you know, would motivate individuals to get help. So from May this year, we've been supported. We've been one of the countries that have been selected by the World Health Organization, Pan American Health Organization as well, for support in implementing a tobacco cessation project. What we break it down to mean brief interventions. So we've had over 15 organizations trained, who started that training, and we expect before the end of this year that we will be able to offer services to individuals who are seeking help to quit. It's something that we have gotten requests from. We announced it was coming last year, and so I'm very pleased to say that we've already commenced, and there will be more information provided when we are at the point where we are ready to actually provide services. Training has started for our healthcare and social care providers, and those are the individuals who, as part of their services, will be able to offer that kind of assistance to individuals to quit.
Okay. And the piece de resistance for St. Lucia in observance of World No Tobacco Day is special recognition by the World Health Organization. Tell us about this.
Yeah, this one was a really exciting and totally surprising award. But St. Lucia is one of the countries that has been, as the World Health Organization has chosen to recognize and to award for achievements in tobacco control. Every year for the last 3-4 years, we've been trying to bring in at least one major achievement on our Empower strategy. We've spoken about Empower before. And so we've reached that point where it just feels really what's the word?
Rewarding.
Rewarding, yes. Because you put your head down and you continue to work, and then when you look up and somebody says, hey, this is really, really good. And
we're watching you.
Yes. And we are pleased, and you are doing very well. It's very gratifying.
Yeah.
So we will be seeing the award ceremony a little later as part of our observance.
Absolutely. So we do hope our viewers can stay tuned for that. Directly, we are due for a break. So directly after this break, we have the Mascot prize giving ceremony, because you also did have a mascot competition. Tell us a bit about that before we go to break.
Yeah, so we are very, very happy to have this mascot. You are going to be really pleased. This is a symbol of what it means for us to be tobacco free, and for us it's really about the young ones and reaching out to them with something that they can relate to.
Nice.
So the tobacco mascot was designed by a St. Mary's College student by the name of Eddie Gebre John, who is no longer at SMC, but we want to hail him and thank him. And he designed the mascot from his perspective as a young one. So we have Luther the Lung, his surname is Lung. So we'll be introduced to Luther, who will be carrying the message, to all across. We'll be getting to meet Luther quite a lot.
Application in the English and the Creole.
And yes, and in Creole.
Okay, wonderful. So do stay tuned for that. You are watching our programming in observance of World No Tobacco Day, being observed today, Monday the 31st of May. We've just been speaking to Mrs. Joanna Joseph Henry, the Deputy Coordinator of the World Health Organization, also the World Health Organization FCTC Tobacco Control Focal Point, and also within the Substance Abuse Advisory Council Secretariat. In the Ministry of Health, we have Dr. Shana Cyr-Philbert. She's the Senior Medical Officer there, overseeing the non-communicable diseases. So stay with us. When we come back, we're getting some action with the mascot, Luther Lung, mascot for tobacco control, promoting tobacco control here in St. Lucia. Stay with us.
We got this. Yeah. I feel make it. We don't have no other choice but to be strong.
We're gonna make it.
What do you mean? What God?
I am a voice of hope, and I just wanna let you know that I believe in our strength as a people and the promise of a bright tomorrow.
And I want you to believe and trust.
I know God is watching over us, and I believe if we all come together now,
Everything will be alright.
if we only press on.
Strengthen the bond and the ties among this generation.
Unite and be one, the fight will be won.
Come on, Caribbean.
Don't worry about the circumstances. Don't stress about the fears and the madness. Together we will take our chance at life and conquer it. Don't worry about the circumstances. Don't stress about the fears and the madness. Together we will take our chance at life. 'Cause we got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. Caribbean people, we got this.
We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. I am the strength within, yeah.
I know that we will rise again, and I'm sure we can lift on people.
It's a fight and we must all be champ. I can't believe this day has come.
For our sake, we must keep distance. Everyone looking out for their neighbor. Islands in the Caribbean sun.
It's time to be strong, the battle is on.
For the future of each generation. Every daughter and son united as one.
Sing on, Caribbean.
Don't worry about the circumstances. Don't stress about the fears and the madness. Together we will take our chance at life and conquer it. Don't worry about the circumstances. cause we prayed up and we stayed up, yes, yes, we stayed up. Head high full of confidence, we not keep bucket and then we never gave up. Big up essential workers, rest in peace, we fallen soldiers. Corona can't conquer, we West Indies, one love and unity, yeah. Don't worry about the circumstances. Don't worry, no. It's just about the praise and the madness. Together we will take our chance at life. We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this.
We got this.
We can win this war. Get vaccinated. We're taking our life back. Get vaccinated. We know what to do. Get vaccinated. COVID-19 we won't lose to you. Oh no. Take 2 doses. Take our life back. Time for a brand new day. Take 2 doses. Take our life back. To live and work and play. Take 2 doses. Take our life back. The health experts we trust. Take 2 doses. Take our life back. Vaccinate for you, for yours, for us.
Let's take our life back with a safe and effective AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. The mobile vaccination drive is coming to you. Visit the Ministry of Health and Wellness and Bureau of Health Education Facebook pages for more information. Let's take our life back. Vaccinate for you, for yours, for us.
Get vaccinated.
This message is brought to you by the Bureau of Health Education of the Ministry of Health and Wellness and this station.
What does coronavirus have in common with love? Both are highly contagious. Spread love, not the virus. Like you, COVID-19 loves a lime. Beach, river, or fed. Coronavirus is like these people who track every lime just to invade. The best way to put off invaders? Cancel the lime. Spread love, not the virus. Keep you and your crew corona-free. Live to lime another day.
Together let us win this war. Said we shall be a soldier. Together we can beat this corona.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. We continue on with our programming for World No Tobacco Day. And just before we went off to break, we did have a panel discussion featuring Mrs. Joanna Joseph Henry, the Deputy Coordinator in the World Health Organization FCTC Tobacco Control Focal Point, and from the Substance Abuse Advisory Council Secretariat in the Ministry of Health, and also Dr. Cyr-Philbert. She is the Senior Medical Officer for NCDs in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. We'd like to thank them so much for taking the time to elucidate the general public on the work that has been happening for tobacco control here in St. Lucia. At this point in time, I would like to welcome back on this stage, this platform, Mrs. Henry from the Substance Abuse Advisory Council Secretariat to take you into another aspect of our programming for today, and this is the Mascot prize giving ceremony and first showing of the mascot, by the way. Mrs. Henry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for staying with us, joining us. This is such a proud moment for us. So you can see we have our mascot live. Luther, how are you feeling today? What do we want to say? Are you happy when we smoke? No. What does Luther want? Everybody smoke free. Okay, so this is what we are going to be. Going around to bring the message about the tobacco-free generation. We want to start a tobacco-free generation. It is very important for our livelihoods, for the continuation of our health, for promoting our health. So we had this mascot competition in 2019 as part of our World No Tobacco Day activities, and finally we have living proof here of the mascot which was designed. And so we do have Eddie, the grandmother of Eddie SMC student, St. Mary's College student, who designed. I don't know if we can see, this is what Eddie had designed for us. So this was Eddie Gebre John. He was a St. Mary's College student at the time, and this was his design, this was his concept. Eddie is not here. Eddie has actually moved on and is at college, but we wanted to make sure that we awarded Eddie the prize. And so we would like to call on his grandmother, Miss John, Leonora John, to receive on his behalf, and Miss Donna Providence to hand over the prize on behalf of Laboratory Consultation Services Limited, who graciously provided the laptop prize. Would you like to say a few words?
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, St. Lucia. On behalf of Lab Services, it is an extreme privilege to be here this afternoon in celebration of World No Tobacco Day. And of course, from Lab Services, we really applaud the initiative and we want to commend the Ministry of Health for this. We also would like to really congratulate the gentleman for a job well done. He used this initiative, and the mascot is standing right next to me, and it's really an extreme privilege to be here and to be part of this process at this time. So on behalf of Lab Services, I want to say congratulations to him, and also to say to St. Lucia, be aware we want to be smoke-free. So on behalf of Lab Services, we want to give you this token of our appreciation and pass on our congratulatory message to him as well.
Thank you very much, and we want to send a special thank you to Mr. Giovanni St-Omer, who actually built the mascot. So Mr. St-Omer did this for us as a labor of love. We had to provide the material, and that was it. He said, leave it with me, and I'm going to make this for you and make you guys proud. And this is the end product today. So at this point, we just need to let Luther do his thing. Luther likes to be in the front stage, so I'm going to exit and let Luther do his presentation.
You ready?
Okay, thank you very much, Luther, and we can look forward to a lot more from Luther, and coming to a school, coming to a health center, coming to somewhere near you. And the message today is commit to quit, and it's a tobacco-free generation. It starts with me, it starts with you. And Luther, that's all for today.
She's been watching, waiting, wondering when the sands of time will give way to a tide of change, and for yesterday and today to become a new tomorrow, for a time when her sun can kiss the cheeks of your loved one and her stars can twinkle in her honeymoon skies, when her earthly embrace will reassure and calm your soul, and her unique view can change your whole perspective. Proudly, she has risen to meet new challenges and to provide safe harbor to all who reach her shores. For her hopes and dreams still stand, shoulder to shoulder, a precious reminder of experiences yet to come. So, wherever your moments and memories take you, let her sense of adventure set you free. She is Saint Lucia. Let her inspire you.
Sons and all the daughters, the island of St. Lucia, the place that full of culture, beautiful people, good character, big mountains, good for adventure, driving volcano, you feel you can enter, natural resources, place to remember, right banana, cause of a jelly water, no way in this world that I go, nobody can tell me what I know, could I England go near Tokyo, no place like Lucia, no. Then Lucia, my little chacalisco, number one on the list now. Even when your own people them hit you, I will never forsake you. Sons and all the daughters, the island of St. Lucia, the place that full of culture.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. We continue with the World No Tobacco Day programming for today, May 31st, 2021, with the PAHO, World Health Organization, World No Tobacco, our presentation being made via Zoom. So if you're just joining us, we've been having quite an exciting program promoting tobacco control here in St. Lucia for World No Tobacco being observed today, Monday. And we have quite a few individuals on the Zoom platform as well joining us. A special good afternoon to you all. If you could hear me, just say good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Wonderful. So just to give an indication as to who is on air, we have Dr. Patrice Lawrence Williams, advisor for non-communicable disease and mental health at the Pan American Health Organization. And also we have Dr. Yitades Gebre from PAHO, also World Health Organization representative for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean countries. We have the Minister of Health and Wellness, Honorable Senator Mary Isaac, and also we have the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Belmar-George. Now, I gave it not in the order of seniority, but rather the order of the programming for today. So we're going to start with Dr. Patrice Lawrence Williams, advisor for non-communicable disease and mental health with the Pan American Health Organization, and she will moderate the rest of proceedings for today until we come right on to the end with closing remarks from Dr. Sharon Belmar-George, Chief Medical Officer. So as I take my leave, I want to wish everyone a safe and enjoyable remainder of World No Tobacco Day, and of course just very excited with the work of the organizations that are involved in terms of promoting tobacco control here on island. Goodbye. I hand over to you, Dr. Patrice Lawrence Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Honorable Mary Isaac, the Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Yitades Gebre, the PAHO WHO representative for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean countries, Dr. Sharon Belmar-George, Chief Medical Officer, Dr. David Bristol, past president of St. Lucia Cancer Society, Mr. Reynold Hewitt, country program specialist for PAHO, Ms. Brenda Lashley, our communication specialist at PAHO, Dr. Shana Cyr, our NCD focal point and senior medical officer, Mrs. Joanna Joseph, tobacco focal point, other Ministry of Health officials, the media, other invited and distinguished guests present in the studio as well as on the virtual platform, a very pleasant good afternoon. We are here today to recognize the commendable achievement of the Ministry of Health and Wellness in St. Lucia, having won a World No Tobacco Day award from the World Health Organization. St. Lucia was one of the winners in the Americas to receive this commendation. The World No Tobacco Day was first celebrated in 1988 when the World Health Assembly passed a resolution calling for the 7th of April 1988 to be recognized as World No Smoking Day. This date was specifically chosen because it was the 40th anniversary of the World Health Organization. Today, 33 years later, the global community still recognizes World No Tobacco Day to draw attention to the tobacco epidemic and the preventable death and disease it causes. Dr. Yitades Gebre is the PAHO WHO representative for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean countries, the UK overseas territories of Anguilla, British Virgin Islands, and Montserrat, as well as the French departments of Guadeloupe, Martinique, and French Guiana. Dr. Gebre, a national of Jamaica, is an epidemiologist and preventative medicine specialist with 24 years of public health leadership and management experience. Dr. Gebre's work has brokered multi-sectoral and national policy dialogue and helped to build capacity through the Health in All policies approach. He is enthusiastic about transforming the health system into one that focuses increasingly on primary health care and is people and community centered towards health. Over to you, Dr. Gebre.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Lawrence, and good morning to you all. Good afternoon, Senator Honorable Mary Isaac, Minister of Health and Wellness, Mr. Benson Emil, Permanent Secretary, Dr. David Bristol, past President, St. Lucia Cancer Society, Dr. Sharon Belmar George, Chief Medical Officer, Ministry of Health and Wellness, Ministry of Health officials and colleagues, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. I bring a warm welcome and greetings to you all on behalf of Dr. Carissa Etienne, the Pan American Health Organization Director, and Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, Director General of the World Health Organization. We congratulate the government and the people of St. Lucia as recipient of 2021 World No Tobacco Day Award from the World Health Organization for the meritorious achievement. The Ministry of Health was one of 6 winners of the award in the Americas, having received the recognition for achieving key advances in tobacco control efforts. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to millions of tobacco users saying they want to quit. Nearly 60% of tobacco users around the world want to quit smoking, but only 30% of the global population have access to quality tobacco cessation services. Tobacco is the only legal consumer product that kills up to half of its users when used exactly as intended by the manufacturer. So why not quit? WHO launched a global campaign to celebrate the World No Tobacco Day 2021, which will be conducted under the slogan, Commit to Quit. The goal of the campaign is to help 100 million people quit tobacco use through various initiatives and digital tools. This can help create healthier conditions that promote tobacco cessation through supporting robust tobacco cessation policies, improving access to cessation services, raising awareness about the tactics of the tobacco industry, supporting people who want to quit tobacco via Quit and Win initiatives. Of course, quitters are winners. Tobacco use is the main preventable risk factor for cardiovascular diseases, chronic respiratory diseases, cancer, and also diabetes. Therefore, effective tobacco control will mitigate the fight against non-communicable diseases, which is responsible for 80% of death in the region of the Americas. The World No Tobacco Day is celebrated around the world every year on May 31st. The annual campaign is an opportunity to raise awareness on the harmful and deadly effects of tobacco use and secondhand smoke exposure, and to discourage the use of tobacco in any form. An award that takes place every year as part of the effectiveness and the activities of World No Tobacco Day, St. Lucia was nominated for this award this year. In June 2020, the Ministry of Health was instrumental in adoption of the Public Health Smoking Control Regulation, which established a smoke ban in enclosed public places, workplaces, and public transportation. This was preceded by the amendment of the Public Health Amendment Act, which was passed by the St. Lucia Parliament in June 2019. The Act and the regulation were developed in collaboration with Tobacco Control Working Group, a multi-sectoral committee inclusive of non-governmental organizations, civil society, public sector agencies. Civil society played a major advocacy role and was integral in advancing this agenda. I am very pleased to recognize the St. Lucia Cancer Society, among others. St. Lucia also adopted the large graphic pack warning and the standard for labeling of the retail packages of cigarettes entered into the force in 2017. The scale of the human and economic tragedy that tobacco imposes is shocking, but it is also preventable. CARICOM has made a call for the Caribbean region to be free of tobacco smoke by 2022. Yet there are still a number of Eastern Caribbean countries that have not yet completed the legislative process required to support smoke-free public environment. But it's not in St. Lucia anymore. We commend the Ministry of Health St. Lucia, who is currently in the forefront of implementing tobacco cessation program in the Eastern Caribbean countries. The training of primary care providers to support this initiative was recently held in May 2021 in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization. We applaud the government of St. Lucia in making a specific commitment to implement stronger tobacco control policies, including effective cessation services, as an important, meaningful fulfilling their commitment that having signed to the World Health Organization Framework Convention for Tobacco Control. Congratulations again to the Ministry of Health, St. Lucia, and its leadership and the Minister of Health for the successful implementation of the Framework Convention for Tobacco Control and preventing 184,000 of its people and residents and over 400,000 visitors from tobacco smoke in public places. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Gebre, for your congratulatory message and outlining the achievements that led to the recognition by the World Health Organization. So a did you know fact. According to the STEP survey, which was conducted in St. Lucia in 2012, did you know that 24% of males and 13% of females were exposed to tobacco smoke at the workplace 1 or more days per week? Dr. David Bristol has been involved in tobacco control for the past 20 years. He chaired the St. Lucia Cancer Society from 1994 to 2017. He has led the Cancer Society's tobacco control policy from national to international fora and was an active advocate for the development and implementation of the no smoking regulations. He worked in close collaboration with the Ministry of Health in ensuring that St. Lucia adopted and signed the FCTC. He is currently the chair of the regional project team at CrossCube, producing the regional standard on tobacco advertising, promotion, and sponsorship. We now invite Dr. Bristol to bring remarks on behalf of the Cancer Society. Dr. Bristol? Dr. Bristol, you're muted.
Yes. Good afternoon, all. Minister Isaac, and with the protocol already established, good afternoon to your colleagues and friends. It is indeed a great privilege today to join you on what is a tremendous occasion. I think acknowledgement on the international stage of something that we do nationally is always of great importance. In fact, this is actually the third World No Tobacco Award that St. Lucia has received since the award was introduced. So we may be running for a record. Again, congratulations to the Ministry of Health. In St. Lucia, we've been extremely fortunate, and I would attest to this, of the close ongoing relationship between the ministry and the St. Lucia Cancer Society. We've been involved in this long road for many years. The Cancer Society is actually 40 years old today. Not today, sorry, this year would mark 40 years of activities related to the prevention, education, etc., related to cancer. I think as other presenters have mentioned today, tobacco remains a unique product in many ways. The harm that it causes globally does not omit St. Lucia. And I've certainly seen evidence of this in my practice as a doctor over the years. And in terms of what we need to do, one of the unique things is that we need to actually review tobacco. It's a legal product. But that doesn't make it something that we just need to say it's legal and that's it. We actually need to start that process or continue the process of reverse regulation. The other point I think we should make now is that during my years involved in tobacco control, there were many things that people said we couldn't do. We couldn't ban advertising. We couldn't stop smoking in public places. We couldn't do many things. I think what the old pandemic is, which is the tobacco pandemic, the new pandemic has now taught us that we can do whatever is required to ensure health, because health is the prime. Without it, we have nothing. And we've now learned that. And I think it is very important for us now to press ahead. It's been a long time since St. Lucia ratified the Framework Convention. It must be going up to 14 years. And I think it is now time for us to press ahead. We've now set a good precedent with having that bit of legislation. Smoke-free laws are a very important part of the entire spectrum of things that could be done in tobacco control. So my pledge today is for the Cancer Society will continue to work very closely with the ministry. We'll do whatever it is that we have to do. And our collaboration, we look forward to a strong collaboration in the future. I send the best regards from Dr. Tamara Remy, who is the current chair, and her and the team, along with some support from my side, we will continue to do what we can. I think that working with CrossQ, we also have a good opportunity now to see the next step. Maybe the next bit of legislation would be to deal with tobacco advertising, promotion, and sponsorship, which is critical. So thank you once again for the invitation, and all the best for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bristol, for outlining the close relationship with the Cancer Society and the Ministry of Health, and also for advocating for the regulations and implementing the FCTC commitments. Another did you know fact. Did you know that according to the Global Youth Tobacco Surveys conducted in the last decade, that there has been an increased use amongst adolescents 13 to 15 years who participated in the survey in St. Lucia? In 2011, approximately 25% of boys and 17% of girls used tobacco products. And in 2017, this number fell to less than half of what was noted in 2011, with approximately 12% of boys and 8% of girls using tobacco products. Senator Honorable Mary Isaac was appointed as the Minister of Health and Wellness in June 2016. She has received formal training on hospitality management, which was very useful in the deliberations for the tobacco regulations. She was the first woman to head the Department of Price Control and Supply in the public sector, and was a key player in the development of the Consumer Protection Act. She was also the first woman to become president of the St. Lucia Civil Service Association, the largest public sector trade union in St. Lucia. Senator Honorable Mary Isaacs have been utilizing her strong leadership skills to advance the non-communicable disease agenda in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. We now invite Honorable Mary Isaacs to bring the feature address.
Thank you very much. Good day, everyone. Special warm greetings to Dr. Gebre. I also wish to thank Dr. Gebre for his greetings from Director of PAHO, Dr. Clarissa Etienne, as well as Director Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus of WHO. Protocol has already been established. I wish to wish every one of you a happy World No Tobacco Day 2021. Today, Monday, 31st May, St. Lucia joins with the rest of the world to observe World No Tobacco Day 2021. The theme, and very appropriate for this year's No Tobacco Day, is Commit to Quit. In support of this theme, the World Health Organization coined the term Quit Tobacco to be a winner. St. Lucia continues to undertake activities through sensitization and education related to nicotine addiction and the negative impacts of smoking. As previously mentioned at the last observance, the impacts of tobacco smoking are evidenced in our Global Youth Tobacco Survey 2017, indicated 22.7% of adolescents have smoked cigarettes, with males having a greater inclination for smoking. We continue to take advantage of other opportunities which will improve our cessation efforts. We are in partnership with PAHO and WHO in the implementation of a tobacco cessation project. This project aims to promote brief advice for tobacco cessation as an intervention delivered as part of primary care providers' routine practice to address NCDs in all primary care and some social care facilities on the island. We are also pleased to report that the new smoking control law came into effect in June 2020. It is the Public Health Smoking Control Regulations, Statutory Instrument 2020, number 81. This new development has denounced smoking in enclosed and public spaces. Of course, when we passed this legislation, we got quite a bit of pushback from producers of charcoal. But then when I visit our hospitals and I see our COPD patients gasping for air, trying to do what comes so easy to many of us, I know that the Ministry of Health had taken the right decision. We remain committed to our outreach program and other initiatives guided by the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, and that was signed in 2006. The activities are done under the FCTC framework done through Empower and the FCTC articles number 5 to 8 and 10 to 14 in mind. And the M in Empower stands for monitor the use of tobacco. P, protect from exposure to tobacco smoke. O, offer help to quit. W, warn about the dangers of tobacco use and exposure. E, enforce bans on tobacco advertising, promotion, and sponsorship. And R, for raise taxes. As I have done in the past, I continue to seek your support in recognizing new policies, as well as adhering to the instructions and guidelines related to smoking and its negative impacts. I also appeal to us as a nation to embrace the idea of offering support to quit smoking. The observance of World No Tobacco Day 2021 marks a significant milestone for St. Lucia. We are the proud recipients of the WHO World No Tobacco Day Award to recognize outstanding contributions to tobacco control. I take this opportunity to express sincere gratitude to PAHO and WHO for this most prestigious award. Thank you, WHO. Congratulations, Team Health, without whose hard work this would not have been done. Well done, Team Health. Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue to partner in recognizing the winner in those struggling with nicotine addiction. Let's join hands in helping them quit. Be a winner. Quit tobacco smoking. I thank you. Have a blessed day, everybody.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, and thank you for also highlighting the prevalence of smoking amongst adolescents as an area of concern. It has been recognized that persons who smoke at an earlier age are more likely to continue smoking as adults. We now invite the virtual audience to view a video presentation. Over to you, Brenda.
It started innocently. It looked fun, looked cool, but then I got hooked. It started to put a strain on my life and the lives of my loved ones. And I got sick, really sick, and I realized I was losing. But I knew what I had to do.
On May 24th, when the winners of the World Health Organization's World No Tobacco Day Award for 2021 were announced, St. Lucia's Ministry of Health was declared one of 6 winners in the Americas. The ministry received a recognition for achieving key advances in tobacco control efforts. The Ministry of Health was instrumental in the June 2020 adoption of the Public Health Smoking Control Regulations, which establish a smoking ban in enclosed public places and workplaces and on public transportation. The regulations prohibit the sale of tobacco products, including electronic cigarettes, in health, sport, government, childcare, educational, and religious facilities. No smoking signs will also be displayed prominently at the entrances of these facilities and at least one other prominent place on the premises. With the adoption of its quit tobacco regulations, St. Lucia became the 8th country in the Caribbean and the 22nd in the Americas to adopt the regulation in keeping with Article 8 of the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, which asserts that people should be protected against tobacco smoke in indoor public places, indoor workplaces, and public transportation. The tobacco regulations were developed by the Ministry of Health and the Attorney General's Chambers in collaboration with the Tobacco Control Working Group, a multi-sectorial committee that includes NGOs and public agencies. PAHO supported development of the regulations, with support from the Bloomberg Initiative to Reduce Tobacco Use Grants Program. The government is also working on a comprehensive tobacco policy that will lead to development of tobacco control legislation.
The Pan American Health Organization extends its congratulations to the government of St. Lucia for this meritorious achievement. St. Lucia has emerged as an outstanding leader and contributor in the implementation of tobacco control among the Eastern Caribbean countries.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ashley, for that very informative and engaging video on tobacco cessation and achievements in St. Lucia. And this video presentation now brings a delightful end to a very brief ceremony. And so we now invite the Chief Medical Officer to bring the closing remarks. Dr. Sharon Belmar presently holds the position of Chief Medical Officer at the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Her responsibilities include the primary and public health management and program implementation. At the administrative level, she is involved in policy formation, program planning, and evaluation. Dr. Belmar George, as the technical lead in the Ministry of Health, has been working with her technical team in advancing initiatives aimed at reducing the non-communicable disease epidemic and its complications. She also serves on the Public Health Board, Medical and Dental Council, and the Allied Health Council. The floor is yours, Dr. Belmar.
Good afternoon, all. Thank you very much, Dr. Lawrence. Let me acknowledge our Minister of Health and Wellness, Honorable Mary Isaac, Dr. Yitades Gebre, the PAHO WHO representative for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean countries, Dr. Lawrence, the advisor for non-communicable disease and mental health with PAHO, Dr. Bristol, the past president for the St. Lucia Cancer Society, also Mr. Hewitt, our country program representative, is on, and I also notice our team from the Substance Abuse Secretariat as well, and the other members of PAHO who are on. Good afternoon to all. The Ministry of Health and Wellness, we feel so honored to win a 2021 World No Tobacco Day award in the Americas from the World Health Organization. It is really a privilege to be one of the 6 winners of the awards in the Americas for our implementation of the comprehensive tobacco policies in relation to tobacco control. We know that tobacco use is one of the leading causes of preventable disease, disability, and death, and a risk factor for cancer, heart disease, stroke, lung disease, diabetes, which remains a huge problem for us here in St. Lucia, and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. The adoption of the public health regulations for smoking control in June 2020, the Quit Tobacco regulations, the Tobacco Cessation Program, and becoming a signatory onto the FCTC in February 2004 are some of the gains that we have made. I really want to acknowledge the hardworking staff at the Substance Abuse Advisory Secretariat, the focal point for tobacco control, as Mrs. Joanna Joseph Henry and her team, for the dedication and commitment towards the achievement. Also, Dr. David Bristol and the Cancer Society, who remains a partner with us at the Ministry of Health in supporting tobacco cessation. I want to acknowledge the support and leadership of our Minister, the Honorable Mary Isaac, and the Cabinet for the endorsement of those recommendations and proposals in support of tobacco cessation over the past years. PAHO has been an amazing partner, not just with tobacco, but in the fight for non-communicable disease. So I recognize and thank PAHO for the support in the development of the public health regulations and in the sustainable support that it has provided to St. Lucia over the years. The contribution of PAHO towards the reduction of chronic non-communicable diseases in the region is invaluable. So this is just one area where this support has really assisted St. Lucia in achieving as far as we've gotten to tobacco control, but we have had this support throughout our NCD mandate. As a country, we still have a long way to go to curb the negative effects that we note in relation to tobacco control. But we remain optimistic that with the continued support and the collaboration that we received from PAHO, we will continue to achieve and reduce the impact as we get the majority of our population to commit to quit, which is just so relevant in terms of the theme for World Tobacco Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Belmar. We now bring this ceremony to an end and wish to express our sincere thanks to those who would have joined us. And so we depart with this message: commit to quit. Thank you, over.
Thank you.